Welcome to the Pop Tower Podcast with your host, the man behind the myth, Peter Dawson, and the Soulful Lordy, James Bullock.
Episode 72 starts now. All right, welcome to Quarantine. I am Peter W. Dawson.
And I am the gambler, James Bullock.
You gotta know when to hold them. Rest in peace, Kenny Rogers.
Yes,
we
very
just
much
got
so.
that news before we started this.
I know. And then, and of course, they started tweeting Lionel Richie, and of course because they worked together at one point, and I thought, oh my goodness, Lionel Richie's dead too.
Yeah.
Twitter can be like the worst beast sometimes when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, man, the pop culture these last 24 hours has been really fascinating.
Yes.
So, we're going to talk about two things today. Thankfully, we were able to... We got a movie we're going to talk about in a bit, and we got a TV series that was thankfully on Netflix, so that was easy enough to watch.
Right.
And then, we got a movie we managed to see before the movie theaters shut down. Like all the movie theaters in my area, dark. Are yours currently dark?
Yep.
Yeah.
It was one by one. It was like they did the Mass, I know, Regal, and a whole bunch of other places, and then it was like everything was down.
Yeah. Just to timestamp this episode further, just in case somebody listens to this years in the future when they're also in another unrelated type of shutdown situation. This is during the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes.
So we'll see how that goes, because there's been a few disease scares over the past 20 years, but this is probably the most effective one in a while.
Yeah, I never can think in my lifetime anything like this. Like I said, we've had some scary moments, but it's always been one of those things like it's almost unbelievable, and then when this one happens, it's unbelievable, and then it becomes truly reality.
Yeah, like SARS, I don't think people remember how scared we were at the time.
Yeah.
But basically nothing shut down.
Exactly.
Right? Zika, they actually had to make some serious changes, but otherwise, grand scheme of things, don't get me wrong, both these diseases killed people.
Right, exactly.
But in terms of affecting our ordinary lives here in Canada and the United States, didn't do much to us, and, neither, I think, Zika, what was it, 50,000 cases, something like that?
Yeah, it was a big deal. But like I said,
SARS was only about 20,000.
Right, but it always felt isolated, same thing with Ebola.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things.
We're what, over 200,000 worldwide now?
Yeah.
So, and that's changing every day. I can't wait to find out. Yeah, it's in my local town, so
yeah, same here. I mean, we're already in triple digits in our area.
Yeah. My province is in triple digits,
yeah.
And most of it's in the Vancouver area. There's some that have leaked out, and that's what's affected me. But let's get off the disease talk, and let's talk about something that's deadly but more fun. Vampires. And night creatures.
Yes, the night creatures.
I always love that term. So we're going to talk about the third season of Netflix's Castlevania.
Yes.
So we've talked about this show before, but just a quick recap. It is basically all written by guy mostly known for comic books, Warren Ellis. I'm trying to think what his most famous stuff is. Oh, he did Red, Global Frequency. He's done runs on X-Men and.
Okay.
Oh, he did the Extremis plot for Iron Man.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so if nothing else, you probably, if you've seen Iron Man 3, you have some idea of what Extremis is.
Right.
And, he has a bit of a reputation for sometimes trying to be really intense, and let me just say, if we get a Castlevania Season 4, which I do kind of want, despite anything I might say about this season, how much more like porn can you get? But we're going to get into spoilers, because honestly, if we didn't, this episode would be really boring.
Oh, yes, it would be terrible. I thought about the same thing.
Yeah. Okay, so, the premise of this, there's 4 main plot lines this season. over 10 episodes.
Yes.
We have Trevor Belmont and
Sypha.
Yeah,
Sypha.
Yeah. I always want to call her Sliffa or Slifa.
I always want to call her
Sypha.
Cypher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that is. Who, fresh off defeating Dracula, have gone around basically becoming monster-killing adventurers.
Mm-hmm.
And, yes, they are banging.
Yes, they are lovers
as
now.
they very unsubtly discussed.
I know we were talking about it when we were deciding when we were gonna do this one, and I had watched the first episode. You hadn't yet, and like I said, the key thing was just the fact that Trevor's alcoholism always overrules sex for him.
Yeah. What's interesting with them is, like, because later on we get graphic sex scenes.
Mm-hmm.
We always just see them cuddling.
Yeah, it's always either after just sitting in the bed talking. Like, it's never anything
I don't even think
gratuitous.
they've kissed on screen yet, really.
I
It's
honestly don't think they did.
No, like they're like still way more intimate than like some of these celibate anime heroes where
Yes.
we never see them get intimate. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking of Goku here with Chi-Chi. You know that. I don't think he ever kissed his wife.
No, I've never seen it happen.
She kissed him on the cheek.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it's something I immediately noticed about this couple. I'm like, huh, that's interesting. And they end up in what's the name of this town again? Lindenfield.
Okay.
Or Lindenfeld, sorry. This is the problem, because I keep wanting to say, like, Lynchfield, which I'm pretty sure is a reference to something else entirely. I can't
Probably
remember what
for Orange is the New Black.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so they come to the town of Lindenfeld, where very obvious evil stuff is going on. And this kills me so much, because it's the city, this seemingly pointless city has just become a city of adventure, because despite being a tiny village, like, not only is it run by frickin' Jason Isaacs as one of the best characters this season.
Yes.
The judge.
Yes.
He is simply the judge, because I believe the Josh is a boss from one of the Castlevania games.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the joke there. Yeah, and he's just, great authoritarian style small town leader.
Mm-hmm.
So much personality.
I just love the fact that you bring up problems to him and it just makes you feel so insignificant.
I know, which is really annoying, because he has some of the best discussions. He has some of the toilet paper discussions.
Yay!
Oh my god. Now talk about topical to our times, right?
Yes.
Considering there's a whole bunch of memes right now about toilet paper being hoarded, which is sort of true.
Yeah. Did you see the, of course, since Resident Evil 3 is coming out, people are already doing memes of Resident Evil 2. Have you seen those memes?
With toilet paper?
Yeah.
No, I haven't actually seen
Oh,
that.
man, you gotta look those up. It's hilarious. Face mask and everything. It's funny. Good stuff.
Delightful. So, yeah, I was... Sorry. I didn't mean for that to be as much of a tangent.
We got a toilet paper tangent here.
Yeah, it's fine. So, and not only is the judge around, but we meet Saint Germain, who is... It's interesting, because he's kind of a real dude, and he's also a very famous fictional person from other bodies of work.
Right.
Because he's like... I think he's like called like the Holy Emperor or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so in this case, he's played to basically perfection by Bill Nye, who I do always love.
Another great job, yes.
Yeah, and it's very blatant in this. He's at least aware of time travel.
Yes.
Because they have a really good sequence with him, where they basically foreshadow the rest of all the Castlevania games. Because I think almost every scene they showed was something from another game.
Yeah.
Which is pretty great, and I know hardcore Castlevania fans really fanboyed over this sequence, and even I'm not like the hardest fan.
Yeah.
Like, I get the titles confused all the time, even though some of them really aren't that much the same. But it's like whenever you have like, it's like, oh, it's got some variation of curse or blood in the title.
Yes.
Night, right? You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's what it feels like. I know that's not true. But it could kind of make it hard to distinguish them, because they're all just like so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so, and if I played them more, I would have more...
Right, have more of a knowledge of it, yeah.
Yeah, because, like, I I think Symphony of the Night is the most famous one, just because that's the first time I think you play solely as Alucard.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the whole thing. Anyway, Saint Germain is great. Like, him and the Judge are probably, well, with the possible exception of one other character, are probably the 3 best new characters. But there's a couple others I really like. Because they add a bunch of new characters in this season.
Yeah, especially with the Vampire Quartet.
We'll get to them.
Yeah.
So, but to wrap up, the basic premise of this story, like I said, we're going to get into spoilers, is Trevor and Sypha are investigating a not terribly complicated mystery about what the heck this group of monks are trying to do in this small town.
Yes.
And,
which, I mean, it definitely ties into, like, the overall narrative from even the first episode of the entire series. Do not trust religious leaders in this world.
No. That doesn't shock me, considering the stuff Warren Ellis will rail against in his
yes.
books. I mean, this is a period of known time where European religious institutions were pretty corrupt.
Of course, yes.
Like, isn't this right around the time when Lutheranism started?
Yes.
Yeah. And that was partially in response to the, at least according to what little I know about Lutheranism, was in charge of the fact that the Pope was basically, and the Church were basically greedy.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Compromising themselves for more money. Not great. Yeah. So, yeah, Sala and his group of guys who are very obviously evil, but it takes them a month to figure this out, because the season is, I think, is supposed to take place over the course of a month.
Yeah, that's about right, yeah.
Which is a little ridiculous when you look at what happens in Lynchfield.
Exactly.
This is kind of one of the problems of this season. By the way, I will say, everybody's dialogue in the Lynchfield characters probably have the best scenes, because they do try to at least advance the plot or character more.
Mm-hmm.
While, there's only a couple scenes that feel kind of pointless, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
But it's annoying because they're also static the whole time, because they're in a small town. It's like, just go in the building.
Right.
And then later it's like, just kill them. It's one of those situations.
And when they finally had the investigative moment, it's like so late in the season.
I know, it's a little disappointing. So, but their plot is one of the two, I think, strongest ones. I don't know if I like it more than the next one I'm going to mention. But,
okay.
Because the other one I really liked is Isaac's plot.
Yeah, that was the one that really stood out to me the most, because of how well they presented the fact that Isaac, for those who don't know, in the first 2 seasons, worked right alongside Dracula in the hope of wiping out humanity. Even though he's a human, he wants to wipe out humanity because of it just being so corrupt and pretty much everybody being evil at heart. And of course, he's able to, since he's a forge master who can raise demons into the dead bodies of human beings, has like a whole host of demons just following him the whole time. And there's just several moments where everything about his beliefs are completely justified. And then there are other moments, like with the sea captain, where he's very much questioned as to why he acts the way he does.
Yeah. Well, the sea captain is, if there's 4 new characters I really like, and the first 2 were the Judge and Saint Germain, the third one is definitely the captain.
Yes.
Because Lance Reddick, he only plays him in 2 episodes, but oh man.
I mean, I wanted to see so much more of him.
I am kind of sad he didn't stick around.
Yeah.
It would have been out of character, but I am sad he didn't stick around.
Yeah, same here. I understand why, but man, it was so good while he was around.
Oh, I know, because he was because Isaac, he met a few good people that had good interplay with him.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was the shop guy who gives him the mirror thing. And then there's the captain. And there's that other, and then there's that frickin' bug guy.
Yeah.
I forget who it's implied he's supposed to be. Because when I first saw him, I thought, oh, it's the guy you killed earlier. I'm like, no, it's someone else.
Yeah, the way they presented it was like someone completely different.
Yeah. Yeah, the gist of his thing is he's leading his horde of night creatures slowly towards was it Styria? Is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah.
Yeah. The horde where Carmilla and her vampire sisters, which we'll get to in a moment.
Yes.
They're he wants revenge on them for what happened at the end of season 2 with the betrayal of Dracula. And first of all, spoiler, he never gets there.
No, he doesn't. No.
Which is very frustrating, even though his plot does ultimately advance, and it's understandable why it takes him a while. Like, this is...
Yeah, that's one of the ones when it comes to him, like, at least they explain why he had travel issues.
Yeah. And, like, this show in season 1 and 2, it had pacing problems, and 3, oh man, they're possibly worse.
Which is amazing when you think about it. Because
I know.
We were like, the first season, it was kind of pacing problem because we were saying that it was too short. It was only 4 episodes.
Yeah.
And it felt like we were just getting half of a season and we would get something else later. And then they said, no, this is the whole first season. So we're all kind of thinking, like, why didn't you utilize your time better if you only knew there was 4 episodes? Then the second season was 8 episodes. And they kind of had the same problem that they have here with a little bit of meandering in the middle. But it still felt a little bit tighter and you had an end goal.
I would say there was at least 3 episodes of meandering in season 2. And there's only 8 episodes.
Yeah. And then this time, it's that same problem. We had that meandering in the middle. But I think one of the biggest problems is the fact we don't necessarily know the end goal until like the last couple of episodes.
Yeah, and 2 of the plots felt kind of pointless.
Yeah.
We'll get to those. Like I said, the investigation one was fine, and the Isaac one was fine. Pacing for both of them I thought was bad, and I'd say there's at least 4 episodes of material that could have been condensed. Because, oh boy. Yeah, we'll get to some of this, especially when I talk about the other 2 plots.
Okay.
But I gotta bring this up with Isaac.
Okay.
He perfectly explains why so many people who work in retail lose heart and get sick of it. That scene where after he's had a genuine bonding moment with the captain, and then he lands, and he's just like, he's trying to be reasonable even though he's got a horde of, netherrealm monstrosities.
Yes.
And I love this because the way Isaac acts, you actually are like, why can't he just pass through town?
Right, he's not.
Why are you being so difficult?
He's not saying he's going to murder anybody. He just needs to get through. That's all.
No. I mean, like, this isn't like, I feel like this is what it probably had to be like to be, I think it's Turkey during, or Hungary during, the Crusades, where they were like, the Crusade armies kept trying to march through.
Yes.
And they're just like, it's like, hey, if we pass, can you be passed through? And like, yeah, sure, I guess. And then they ravage the countryside for no reason. So at this point, they're just like, no,
we can't trust this. Look what you have with you, but I just want to pass. Nah, not with those things with you.
Have you seen these guys? That man has a horse for a face. I wish. But,
man.
And I know, he just goes on for a rant. He's like, you know why humanity's failed? You're just so effing rude.
Yes.
It's like the perfect, like, response to, like, if the guards are the stereotypical Karen, as they've come to known on the internet, Isaac is every retail worker ever sick of Karen's nonsense.
Yes.
That's essentially what that scene is, and it's so good. And then there's that really kind of random final couple episodes where he meets the kindly old witch, well, I guess kindly, in quotes, and then battles a freaking Hive King.
Yeah!
Again, better use of time. Can we learn about this guy, please?
It was so crazy because, like, it just happened. And
I know.
I was kind of lost. Like, did I miss something? I really went back and watched.
All of a sudden, we're in a Dark Souls game.
Right.
Like that was probably the second most Dark Souls-y Castlevania moment ever in this whole season. The other one goes back to what happened at the climax of Trevor and Sypha's thing, where they end up fighting some monsters.
Yeah.
And some of those monsters really felt Dark Souls-y, but I mean, I checked; they are still Castlevania monsters.
Yeah.
It goes to show where some of the influence came from, I guess.
I tell you.
But, yeah, and then, I guess I'll talk about who Isaac's going to fight next.
Yes.
Oh, man. This
Puppy
was
Dog.
Mostly a waste of time.
Puppy Dog himself.
Carmilla and her 3 air quotes sisters.
Yeah.
I don't entirely get it.
No,
and
same here. Same here.
And also, I hate that they broke the theming with the names. So it's Carmilla, Morana, Striga, and Lenore.
Yes.
Couldn't she have been Lenora or something? Come
on.
Disappointed. And they all have their little cliche hats, and then they all spend about 9 episodes talking about whether or not they can trust Carmilla.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, Lenora is actually having a remotely interesting but incredibly predictable plot where poor Hector, the other Forge Master from Season 2...
Yes, they're betrayed.
The naive one who also trusted Dracula, but for some reason thought humanity just needed a culling, not, like, annihilation.
Right, exactly. It just needed a little bit of a pruning, that's all.
So he gets abused like crazy, and then Lenore is like, I'm the diplomat, I'll deal with him. And slowly but surely, like we see over a course of scenes, she's right. But it's like, okay, she's going to betray him, or, or somehow he's going to play her. But considering how we have had no hints that he is somehow playing her,
right?
It seemed pretty obvious where it was going, and lo and behold, we were right.
And the thing about it, they actually tried to showcase like that one scene where maybe, just maybe, he would be able to outsmart her, and that didn't pan out well. And then we realized, no, that's not how it's going to pan out for him.
No, I know, that's kind of the problem. Like, there was a certain sense of inevitability to all this. So even though, like, scenes were well done, like, Jessica Brown Finley playing Lenore was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Theo James, I'm so glad when he could play his normal accent, because then he doesn't have to struggle with that.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about every time he's played an American, and I'm just like, ooh, that's hurting his performance massively.
Yeah, no, he did perfectly fine.
No,
he's being himself. Just being himself.
Yeah. No, I've seen him do live action where he's using his British accent, and he's much better than whenever he tries to.
Yeah.
It seems like using an American accent takes like 60% of his brain power or something. So there's not enough left for acting. Anyway, no, it's all well written, but because it's dragged out and you know where it's going, it's ultimately not terribly fulfilling.
Mm-hmm.
And that's to say nothing of the pointlessness of the sisters.
I mean, that's the overall arc in their plan. It just means absolutely nothing.
No, because we see very little of it. They just talk about it a lot. We get confirmation of the relationships, sort of, because they
don't necessarily talk about it. They just argue about it.
Yeah. And then they insult each other, and then it's over.
Yeah.
They don't get attacked. It's just over. You know what would have been really good? Okay, I'm going to spoil a bit because we're getting to the spoilers anyway. Because, like I said, it's exactly what you think happens. Lenore eventually puts like a blood control ring or something on Hector's thing.
Submit to
me. And he pledges himself to her like an idiot. So she now has like some sort of control over him.
I mean, the worst part about it is like he submits to her, and it happens in a way that he doesn't expect it to happen, even though she explained to him beforehand, like, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah. Like, the one thing that was disappointing is I was hoping Lenore, when she gave the rings to the others, she was going to take control of them, too.
Exactly!
That would have been a great extra twist.
Because the whole thing about her character, and she said, like, the first conference, like, the first communication that she had with Hector, she was saying, oh, everyone thinks I'm weak because I want to talk things out, I want to be diplomatic.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm thinking the entire time, okay, that is the seed right there she's going to take over, and pretty much where Carmilla is now, this is where Lenore's going to be.
Yeah.
And it
she kind
doesn't
of looks like the...
Sorry. No, what are you saying?
I'm saying she looks like the little girl of the group.
I know!
Because she's the shortest. She looks like she's just like... I'm going to go with horny teenage noblewoman. Maybe out in the pole. She just happens to have blue skin because she's a vampire. Meanwhile, freaking Striga's just giant behemoth of a woman.
Yes.
And Morana's like weird, wrong century, sophisticated noblewoman.
Yeah, she has input, but she doesn't. But nobody really listens to her that much.
Yeah, and those two are banging, even though they call themselves sisters, which is weird. I mean, I get that they're not blood related, but it's just so weird.
Yeah, it's not the best of explanations in regards to their associations.
No. Yeah. And yeah, like I said, it's just all that build to, hey, Hector's now under control. Cool.
I mean, the thing about we think about how Carmella ended the second season, like the position that she was in at the end of the second season, and I thought so much more was going to happen with her than it did.
I know. They really shouldn't have put off the battle between Isaac and them. Like, I think that's one of my big complaints. I know they were already had problems with pacing because they really wanted to draw out the Carmella, or isn't that Carmella, the Lenore and Hector scenes, but if the rest of it just feels like so much like padding as a result. Yeah. Like, they could have at least had something more interesting going on. Maybe there was even, like, you know, a local rival that they didn't expect.
Yeah.
And, like, we beat him, and it's like, this guy will be the most difficult thing we have to deal with.
I mean, like...
And meanwhile, Isaac's slowly approaching.
Right, he had a little bit of a twist with, like, Godbrand in the last season. Like, they could have had something like that happen.
Yeah, maybe Godbrand had a brother.
Jesus Brand.
Also played by Peter Stormare, maybe, because not having him this season sucked.
Oh, man.
Yeah, speaking of characters that were horribly wasted, Godbrand. I'm still bitter about that one season later.
I know. I thought for sure, like, man, I wanted so much more from him. And he was so good. That was the thing.
Yep.
Oh, so much. All right, I know what your final thought. Your final thought on the final arc we haven't talked about is.
So this was pointless. Like, you know, you kind of had this... I want to point out, by the way, all four of these plots have a certain theming to them about the idea of trust and naivete, you know, and, like, basically everyone just kind of gets humbled in some way by the end of their plot. Like,
right.
Trevor, and especially Sypha, her innocence basically gets shattered.
Yes.
And, like, because she's tried to be optimistic through everything she's seen, and then things in Lynchfield ultimately go... Lynchfeld...
Yes.
Lindenfeld. God damn it. Lindenfeld go horribly wrong, and Trevor's like, oh, now you're a cynic like me.
Yes.
And which is like, well, that's not an awful way to end that.
Yeah, that's not the person I wanted to be.
No, this is terrible. There's one more thing about that I'll circle back to in a moment. But, yeah, so that's how that, you know, Isaac, he's like, maybe I can't trust humanity. Nope, I'm going to dominate them all.
Yep.
I'm going to turn them all into night creatures. And then Hector's like, I guess I'll trust this seductress. Nope, that was a mistake.
No. But now I have no choice.
Alucard's plot. Okay. First of all, his first scene went on way too long for what was admittedly a great joke.
Yes, yeah.
Because he's going insane after a month alone. Which I absolutely love. He made dolls of them.
I mean, he isolated himself. He self-isolated himself. And after the incident of season 2, where he unfortunately has to kill his father. And, like you said, the first month, I would love to know what he thought about maybe making dolls to talk to people.
Yeah.
And then when his guests arrive, he tells them not to talk to them.
Yeah, there's like, he clearly hates what's become of him. Which is incredibly sympathetic, especially now, because we're in, like, social isolation mode, you know.
Exactly.
So it's like, oh man, this is what we have to look forward to. Yeah, so his thing is he's hanging out by himself, and then 2 Japanese vampire hunters show up. He's like, hey, we're here, we're trying to go and kill this lady. Oh, the lady I think I killed?
Yes.
And then that's basically the season.
Yeah. And the thing about it, they have one training montage that ends with them all laughing in the field together.
Yeah. Oh my god. They spend the whole season talking about, hey, I'm going to teach you things. And it's like, I don't know if we can trust him.
Right.
And we don't know if the person you killed last season is actually dead or not. And it's those 3 plot points circled around and around and around and around and around and around. And hey, check out, there's cool stuff just happened off scene, but we're not showing it.
Right.
Around and around. And then finally,
then we get to the big moment.
Somewhat out of nowhere.
Yes!
By the way, did we get confirmation if these two were brother and sister, or were they already like?
The way they alluded to it at first, it was like they were brother and sister.
Yeah, but then later on they were holding hands a lot, and it was like implied they might be, intimate.
I had no idea. And when it happened, I had no idea.
So, of all the ways to confirm a character is effectively bi,
yes,
it's got to be one of the worst. So, after a month of hanging out with these, let's call them wacky, because I don't have anything really complimentary to say about these characters.
Yeah, they're just very stoic individuals who start to somewhat break the shell of a half vampire child that is now become lonely. If they really don't have much personalities of their own, that's it.
Yep, I know they're not terribly interesting,
no.
And then
like their cause is more interesting than them.
Yeah, I know, and then we never see it
exactly,
and especially what happens because in the end it's that all right, we can't trust him, even though we have no reason not to trust him.
He's done nothing to showcase that he is like his father.
Yeah, they're like, no, you know what? We should kill him.
Yeah.
How should we kill him?
Let's
bang him.
Security.
Let's bang him.
Yes. Death by snoo.
Again, joke about. I love this because the climax of the season, 3 main sequences are interchanged. One is the Battle of Lindenfeld.
Mm-hmm.
Because Isaac's plot, his battle gets more focused on the final episode. Like, this is the second last episode where this happens. The Battle of Lindenfeld is happening. Meanwhile, frickin' Lenore is banging Hector.
Yes.
And then Alucard, in bed, is suddenly approached by 2 naked Japanese people. We don't know the relationship again, still.
Still have no idea.
And they just start banging him.
Yes, and he's very accepting of it. He's like, yep. I've been alone for a month. I don't know what else I can do with these dolls. I am willing to try anything at this point.
I would love just like a comedic sketch at one point, just as like it's happening, and it's like, woman bangs him, man bangs him, and then just in his brain, guess I'm bi.
Oh man,
yeah, it's like that bit from what was it? The Postal movie.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so maybe I'm bi.
Yeah. Okay. Well, guess I'm bi now.
Yep. Yeah, and then it turns out they want to kill him.
Yes.
And so ultimately he kills them because Alucard, spoiler, is in a bunch of other games.
Yes.
Isn't he in at least 4?
Yes.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
And then the thing about it, for them to do what they were planning on doing, and we still don't know what kind of skills they had. I don't know why they thought it was a good idea. They don't know what he could have done. Like what can he do to retaliate against us? They just went in there and decided, hey, if we have enough sex with him, he'll be so tired that he won't be able to retaliate. I
know. It's like, oh my god. So this plot was dumb.
Yes!
And the point was to make Alucard decide, hey, I guess I'll be like my dad and just stake dead people who betrayed me out in front of the castle.
Like, that was the whole thing. I get the idea of, oh my goodness, we're planting the seeds of the fact that now Trevor and Cypher have to go back and potentially put down Alucard. Yeah. But it was just so ham-fisted. Like, that's the way we want to go about this thing, to have him transform him to become his father.
Yeah. Well, especially, because they're going to set up later games and stuff, too, where he... yeah, because, of course, the big thing is, I believe Trevor and Cypher are Simon's... Are they his parents or his grandparents?
I think it's his grandparents.
Yeah. And I don't think Simon... I think Simon fights Alucard in one of the games, but then later on, Richter, who is Simon's descendant, befriends him, because that's the whole thing in Rotundo of Blood and then Symphony of the Night, I believe.
Right.
If I'm remembering right. So, yeah. So Alucard, at some point would have to go through a darkening, presumably.
Yes.
But
who would have thought it was because of him getting sexed and betrayed?
It was the most pointless subplot in this entire season. Like, Isaac And, Carmilla, it's like, okay, they're eventually going to fight.
Right.
And Trevor and Sypha, it's like, okay, they're clearly something up with the potential resurrection of Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
That seemed pretty straightforward.
Yeah, that was a big tease. That was a big tease at the end of the season.
Because, spoiler, Dracula comes back a lot in the game.
Yes.
So, considering he's the main villain in, 90% of these games?
Yeah. They definitely opened the door, literally, to bring him back into the series.
Yeah, that was a really cool shot.
Yeah, that was one of the better moments of the entire season.
All right, let's praise the show a bit more before I talk about the one other thing that really made me mad.
Okay.
So the visuals, especially in the final few episodes again, much like what happened in Season 2, absolutely stunning.
Battle scene's incredible.
The battle scene's incredible. The scene where they peer into hell is amazing.
Yes.
The imagery of hell, especially as, of course, I always love oh, look, here's the frozen wasteland of hell, because Dante's Inferno, I believe it's the 9th circle, is the coldest because it's the furthest from God's light.
Right.
I believe that's how that goes. And they did that in the Dante's Inferno game, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So every time I love that, I always love when that pops up. Or every time I see that, I always love when it pops up. Yeah. I can talk. I kind of loved some of the interesting new magic abilities Sypha got. She's become a firebender.
Yes. She's no longer prone to just using ice.
Yeah. She's got more fire, she's got more ice, she has more wind. And didn't she shoot lightning at one point near the end?
Yes, she did. Yes.
So yeah, she's basically got all the elements. We just haven't seen her earthbend yet.
Yes.
Which I'm sure is coming. Because they can't. If they're going to do a time skip, they can't do it before the end of the 4th season.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Because we need to resolve some of these plot lines. I don't know where they're, because if nothing else, Isaac and Carmilla need to fight.
Yeah, like if there's anything that has to happen in season 4, that's it.
Yeah. I mean, because I kind of thought after the end of season 2, they were just going to jump right ahead to the next generation, and they didn't. And now I'm just like, I kind of wish they had.
Yeah.
Even though it would have meant missing out on some pretty great characters.
Like I think that if that was one of the things I walked away from thinking about this, like I would have loved, hey, if we could have done a 20-episode season. This half is like the half that we witnessed, and then the second half would be the jump forward.
That'd be good. Because, I mean, at this point, even though they're human, Isaac and Hector, they can probably live a long time, can't they?
Yeah, exactly.
That's been the implication I've gotten. So, yeah. Whatever. Oh, yeah, last thing I want to complain about with the season. The twist with the judge. There was no need.
None whatsoever.
It was a pointless, overly cynical, useless thing.
And when it happened, I was like, why? That was probably one of the biggest why moments I had during the whole season, which is amazing considering some of the moments that we did have this season.
See, what they set up, because they set up the judge talking about his special apple tree, and it turns out he's secretly just casually murdering children he hates, but then keeping their shoes?
Yeah.
So is it a sex thing? Like, it was too ambiguous. You know what I mean? Because, like, oh, he's got a spike pit full of dead kids.
Yes.
Kids that just won't obey, so he murders them. And I'm like, that's incredibly dark. And then he keeps their shoes. Yes. I'm just like, why? I don't get it.
I did not get it whatsoever.
I didn't get it, and it's like, it's stupidly creepy. And you know what I would have liked? Because at the end, he sends the priest guy to go and to his secret tree. I was hoping he had sent what few townspeople lived to that area to hide.
Right.
And then they just come out and kill him.
Yeah, exactly.
That would have been good. I just felt like they were unnecessarily, because they didn't need that extra cynical twist, because already basically the whole town has died.
Right, and we already know that a majority of the people that you're supposed to look up to for authority or just being able to not worry everything's going to work out because these people are in control, we already know a majority of them are evil. And we get that. Yeah. Why do we have to have the one guy that could have been the difference maker?
Well, like, here's the thing. Like, it still would have been a tragic ending because it's like he was the one authority figure they liked.
Exactly.
And he still screwed up and got a lot of his people killed with his decision. they could have focused on that, and that would have been a more interesting psychological thing than just making him
perfectly fine, but they had to twist them off.
No, and instead he's child murderer / possible pedophile.
Right, and then he got what he deserved.
Yeah, and it's like, that doesn't work though. Like, it works in the broad theming of everyone becoming more cynical or being stupid to trust. Right? Like, the season in general is a very cynical look at the nature of trust.
Mm-hmm.
And that was probably a mistake. Because they went too far. And, I mean, that's something you can say a lot about Warren Ellis. Some of his works go a little too far.
Right.
Have you read the original? Have you read Red?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man, the original comic is way more edgelord.
Mm-hmm.
But, sorry, I didn't want to derail your point.
No. I was saying, like, when you were saying just the fact that we kind of had that cynical nature, and on the opposite end of the spectrum, like, you had that duality with Isaac's character and his arc. I think it would have had the same thing with the Judge. Like, not everyone is that type of person.
Yeah. But it doesn't matter. They can still make mistakes, and they can still die.
Exactly.
Like, you know, as much as I was bummed out that the Judge died, I'm like, I would have been like, that would have been a good lesson to take away. And then it's like, nope. Like, you know, it always makes me think of all things, The Walking Dead, where they set up those kind of filler dudes Daryl hung out with for a bit.
Oh, yeah!
But it didn't matter because they had this whole thing about claiming and stuff that was trying to make them seem deep and philosophical, but we already had an earlier scene where they talked about casual rape.
Right!
So it's like, well, I don't care now. Likewise, like when the same thing happened with frickin', I can't even think of her name now, Beth. When she gets in the hands of those cops or whatever in the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
And the very first scene is sexual harassment, possible assault. And I'm just like, well, I don't care about these characters now.
No, I want them to die now.
Yeah. Please die now.
Well, it's taking so long.
I know, it's like, because once you cross a certain line, it just kind of undermines any point you're making.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying it was impossible that this character was like this. You know, because, I mean, people can sometimes surprise me with how horrible they are.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't think it worked well thematically because it was too far.
Exactly. And
like,
one of those things that kind of it just completely came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Well, it's like the Japanese kids deciding to kill Alucard. It really wasn't well set up.
No, there was no kind of teases that maybe
they just said they weren't sure if they could trust him, and they had no reason to say that.
Right. They said that at the beginning because, hey, we run into him. Of course, you don't trust a guy that's half Dracula, but then when he spends all this time with you, he's telling you nothing but kindness outside of the fact he doesn't want you to talk to his dolls. Like, that's the only thing he did. So I don't know, maybe they wanted to play with the dolls, and that's what got him upset.
I know, like, seeing a scene where he's, like, teaching them magic or something, and, like, they see a flash of him going full vampire, and even then, maybe it's like...
If he could have just grabbed one by the throat, it would have been one thing.
Yeah, like, they could have done something, like, where it looks like he might lose control, or maybe they think he's starting to lose control,
right.
He's in control the whole time, you know, or something, because, like, it's not even clear if he's ever really had friends.
No, not at all.
Like, so, it would, like... Again, there was, like, this is kind of the problem with the season. Like, even what they did wasn't necessarily the worst. They just didn't do it in an interesting way.
Right.
So a lot of scenes felt like they repeated themselves, especially with the two plots we really ripped into.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the other plots were dragging their feet, but at least they felt kind of interesting.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I said, even though we didn't necessarily know the end goal, at least those characters looked like they understood what they wanted to do.
Yeah. Also, why didn't they remove those alchemical symbols from the houses?
I don't know.
That would have been something that they really should have talked about. Again, better uses of time. So why don't we just remove these mysterious arcane symbols?
Yeah. No, we'll just leave them be. Somebody's got work to do.
Yep.
I'm not going to do it.
And then Saint Germain spends a long time reading books.
Like I said, a mixed bag.
After spending like 3 episodes trying to get him in there, he just sits down and starts reading.
Yeah. I'm actually looking forward to season 4 just because I'm hoping that they kind of like fix a lot of the problems that they had in these last few seasons. But,
every time we say that, though.
But I was about to say, this is the 3rd time we've said this now.
I know, because it was like, on the one hand, the dialogue is really good. Like, it maybe meanders into comedy a few too many times, but in general, it's still so much fun. And the action, when it does happen, is pretty good. And, like, the use of the lore is, in general, pretty good. It's just, the pacing and the plotting is all over the place, and not in a good way.
No.
It's incredibly frustrating. Also, some of the voice acting still bugs me.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
3 seasons in, I still don't feel like Trevor's voice entirely suits Trevor.
No, it doesn't. It's very weird. Like, he's the one of the characters that I'm actually surprised about that it just doesn't fit.
No, I know. Like...
He shouldn't exist in this time.
I don't know... Where is Richard Armitage from? I need to look that up real quick. Because I want to figure out what region... Because I feel like it's the wrong regional British accent. Or maybe his voice is just the wrong kind of deep. He's from Leicestershire? Or Leicestershire? I don't know how that's pronounced.
Okay.
And I'm assuming that's his regional accent. Yeah, shouldn't have used that one.
No, it just doesn't work.
Or he's too baritone, I guess.
Maybe, yeah. Just doesn't work. It really doesn't, but...
That bugs me still. The only person I can think of who would probably do a good voice is American, so he wouldn't be a good example. But no, overall, if you like the previous seasons, watch this season at least once.
Yes.
That's probably all I can say at this point.
Yeah.
I don't really want to rewatch it, but I am kind of glad I watched it.
Yeah, I just had to rewatch like the parts that didn't make much sense, and it still didn't make any sense because they came out of nowhere in the last couple of episodes. But yeah, as a season as a whole, I probably wouldn't rewatch it anytime soon. I might do so just to maybe catch up on when season 4 is about to drop. But even then, I guarantee you, like after I watch a couple of episodes, I'll remember everything that happened and how meandering a lot of it was.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the problem. Alright, guess we talk about,
There's a reason why the Castlevania one went long, because this is not going to go long at all.
No, I do have another wiki page open to bring up something else that is related to this, though. So, Bloodshot.
Yes!
Okay, so I want to go into the backstory of this a bit, because I know this backstory a bit.
Okay.
Because I never bought a Bloodshot comic, but I bought other ones from Valiant in the 90s. Because one of my favorite 90s heroes, like I had a few random ones in the 90s, like I loved Green Lantern, that was probably the most normal one.
Okay.
But I loved Guy Gardner in particular. And then he became not a Green Lantern almost early in the 90s for a bit. Like he had a yellow ring for a while.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which was pretty awesome. And then he got his weird warrior powers.
Yeah, I forgot about that, yeah.
I know. So he was, like, but he was one of my favorite DC heroes, and then, like, Marvel wasn't terribly unique. It was mostly, like, you know, Spider-Man.
Yeah, and Marvel wasn't, I mean, outside, like, a little bit of X-Men at the beginning, it wasn't that much going on in the 90s.
No, you know, I like Wolverine, fine.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, like, I also read Valiant, and one of my favorites was Exo Manowar. Which is really interesting, because it was, like, a Roman centurion trapped in an alien suit in the modern day. Which is an interesting combination of things. Bloodshot is one of the less interesting, but still interesting premises, because its basic idea is a hitman who's more or less brought back from the dead via Nano-Machines, or so the implication is. Like, I can't remember his exact origin, but he's a Nano-Machine hitman whose memories are constantly messed with.
Right.
So he has to try to become someone more heroic after breaking free of those that controlled him. And that does more or less translate to the film.
Yeah.
In this case, our hero, Ray Garrison, what was he? Is he a Marine?
Oh.
Was he a Naval SEAL?
Yeah, he's a Marine, yeah. He's a Marine.
Thank you.
Yep.
You know, he's badass military America man.
Yeah.
who gets killed by a bad guy, him and his wife.
Yes.
But then he gets resurrected by some scientists who are like, aha, we have Nano-Machines, son.
Yeah, we've been trying this for a long time, but you're the first.
Yep, we brought you back. And he's like, oh yeah, here's some here's some other people we gave Nano-Machines to. I'm
Yes.
sure they won't factor into the plot much.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is they're messing with his memories. Like, they're rewriting his memories.
And before we even go on, I must preface this. All of this stuff that Peter is saying is in the trailer.
Yeah. And the kicker is we don't learn just how much he's doing, like, because he kills the guy who he thinks killed him and his wife, what?
The first 25 minutes?
Yeah. And then we get the frickin' mind altering where he gets sent off to kill other people thinking they killed him. It's about halfway through that the plot really gets going.
Mm-hmm.
As a result, because there's so much elaborate backstory, and because they gave away one of the most interesting twists the whole time, like just how much his memories are being altered.
Yes.
It kind of makes it hard to want to, you're kind of like, okay, cool. And then...
Because, like, there's a scene in the trailer where they literally show the person that kills his wife in various forms.
Yeah.
And, like, that right there is like, oh my goodness, this is not the real person that killed his wife when you see it at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. I know, and, like I said, it takes a while to really get going, and then, like, the whole thing is the only reason he breaks free is, oh, some of the bad guys used an EMP.
Yeah. I will say, though, I loved a lot of the moments when the power went out on Ray's character on Bloodshot at this point, and he just collapses. Like, he does the greatest I just powered down fall that you could find.
I gotta say, Vin's performance in this, like, he's having fun.
Yes!
And it shows.
He is schlocky action hero. Like, he's having the best time, especially, like, at the very beginning when he's talking to his wife. I just love, like, the cornball, cheesy comments that he's coming up with. And he's, like, you can tell he's just so happy about it.
Oh, I know, because, like, it's not, I'm just thinking of when they did the Triple X sequel, and it felt forced.
Yes.
This time, it's like, he's doing something new. He clearly is at least somewhat a fan of this character. He's having fun with it. This is more enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but, man, almost everyone else in this, like, Guy Pearce is probably the best performance, the second best performance in the film, I would argue. And even then, he is not given much to work with.
No, I was about to say, like, that's one of the things I enjoyed what he did, and he felt good in the character that he played, but man, it was just nothing to go with for him.
No, what's her nuts, who plays Katie?
Yes.
Isa Gonzalez.
Mm-hmm.
I've liked her in other things, because she was in Hobbs and Shaw, she was in Baby Driver.
Yes.
She's really good in Baby Driver.
Yes, she was.
Oh man, did she not get enough to do here?
She was another example. Like, she was actually, I enjoyed her when she was on screen.
Yeah.
But it was very few and far between when I saw her on screen for any significant moments.
What do you think about Lamorne Morris as a hacker?
He was good. He was good for comic relief.
Yeah.
But the character that he was trying to portray, it just didn't fit.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's like, it feels like when, whenever Ludacris's character in the Fast film tries to get too tactical. Like, I could buy him as a mechanic, but when you try to make him, like, also, like, hacker man...
Yes!
It just doesn't work. And it's, like, the same thing. It's like, you're just not fully selling it.
No.
I mean, yeah, you're a good comic relief foil. I just kind of wish you weren't also supposed to be, like, the tech nerd.
Right. And it comes, like, very late in the movie where there's a very significant point. I'm not going to spoil that one, at least. But it was a very significant point where he's, of course, like, his skills are being put to the test. And in reality, he's not even needed. He's just there for, like, a very good humor in a very tense time. Like, that's all he's there for.
Yeah. I will say also, for a $45 million budget movie, this looked like it was probably at least $80 million.
It looked really good. There was, we can once again spoil this because it's in the trailer. But the whole thing about Bloodshot, the character that Ray becomes, is the fact that, of course, the Nano-Machines repair his body when he suffers significant damage. And there were some moments, especially like the first time when we see him really getting hurt, that looked phenomenal. And I forgot this was actually a PG-13 movie.
Yeah. I know, like, that's the thing. Like, for a PG-13 movie, this one definitely pushes the limits a bit.
Yeah. I don't know how this avoided the R rating.
Yeah, like, it was on the fence for sure. And it doesn't feel as cheesy. Like I always think of the Total Recall remake, where they have whenever someone gets shot in the head, they just have their head immediately snap back so you don't see any blood.
Yes.
Like that didn't feel as pronounced in this one.
No, not at all.
Like that's the thing for a movie whose plot is ultimately disappointing, especially if you saw the.
If you just watch the trailer just to find out what it's about.
And most of the villains are pretty awful.
Oh yeah, what was the number 2 in command?
You mean Jimmy Dalton?
Yeah.
Yeah, played by Outlander boy.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Wow, was he miscast?
Oh man, that was just tragic. That was tragic miscast right there.
Yeah, and like Toby Kebbell was kind of miscast, but then it's like, oh no, you're getting rid of him. Okay, this is probably the best.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because he was kind of miscast, and then the other guy who I don't even know what he's from. He might just be some other guy because they just had like, all right, we have bad guy who's going to be the muscle, and we need bad guy's sub muscle.
Yes.
Let's just go to the gym and pick someone.
So,
if the actor has done anything more of note, I'm sorry.
Like it was one of those things. Like why couldn't they pull a Punisher and just get Keith Jardine to fill in the role? Like
I know it's just it just felt like such a waste of time. These two guys, and like they get this big fight sequence. I'm like, there's no stakes here.
No.
These guys are annoying, and you're going to kill them.
Yeah. You've given me no reason to believe that Bloodshot's going to lose.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the problem with Vin Diesel action movies. He's almost always an invincible hero.
Yeah. Like that was the one thing that I thought about it that was so funny when I watched it. And I thought about it after watching it. Was the fact that if you watch like him at the beginning of the movie where he's just normal Ray, he's a Marine, he's breaking and trying to save the world. He is very tactical and very smart and a great fighter. But when he becomes Bloodshot, it's like he realizes he has the God mode on. He doesn't even care. He's just walking forward. If he gets shot, he gets shot.
It's like Wolverine all over again.
Yeah.
Where, like, he just allowed himself to constantly get injured, and then
because I know I'm going to heal. It might not be for my benefit, and I don't know exactly how these machines work. But if I get shot, I will heal, so I can get shot a whole bunch of times and not worry about it.
Yeah. He's just like,
Again? Don't you understand?
Yep. I know, it's one of those things. And, like, I always love, I will say I love some of the stuff he does with his Nano-Machines later. When, like, you know, with the climax, I should say.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil that.
Yeah.
Because that's a sequence I think people need to see.
Yeah, really.
Like, this is kind of my problem, because, like, the movie has a certain lack of tension. A lot of the performances aren't great. You know, like I said, probably the only one that are, like Eiza Gonzalez, when she actually has stuff to do, is fine.
Yep.
Vin Diesel's actually probably above average for a Vin Diesel performance.
Yeah, he's having a good time. That's the thing.
And, like, Lamont Morris is funny, even if he's not appropriate.
Yeah, he's definitely not cast well for this, but he's fine in what he does.
Yeah, and like
I said, same thing with Guy Pearce is one of those situations where he is actually cast well, but he doesn't have much to do.
No, because he's such generic evil scientist,
yes.
man. Like, it's like, we've seen this before.
Like, we know you're not telling us the truth, Guy Pearce. What are you doing?
Yeah, Guy Pearce, why are you lying to me? I'm going to have to pierce your lies. Yeah, like, it's a very serviceable, but it's not even that fun, ultimately. Like, there's some fun stuff with the Deadshot stuff, like, with the Nano-Machines.
Yeah, to slow down the almost, like, 300 kind of slow down moments.
But ultimately, the lack of tension is kind of a problem,
Yeah,
too.
very much. I mean, just the lack of good villains.
Yeah.
Adds to it.
Yeah, which is a shame, because, like, it's an interesting concept. I just think they executed it, I guess, poorly.
Yeah, no.
I was trying to be a little nicer, but I'm like, no,
they executed it poorly. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, which is a damn bummer.
No, because, I mean, it's one of those things, like, it has the legs, it's just had no way. The Nano-Machines were not functioning that day, and it just could not run after they got his legs shot off.
Yeah. What's also kind of annoying is, I just want to get into this because sounds like it's not going to be happening. So the idea was to take Bloodshot and then tie it into one of the other Valiant properties that Paramount had control over at the time, Harbinger. So I don't know if you're familiar with Harbinger.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like for those who aren't familiar, it's kind of like an X-Men knockoff, sort of.
Yep.
But if Professor X was also the villain.
Yeah.
That's probably if I had to elevator pitch it, that's what it's like. It's about psychics. There's maybe a little bit of a cure in there as a result. You know what I mean? And it focuses, because there's like the guy who creates like the Harbinger Industries or whatever it is, and he's like basically an all-powerful psychic. And his former apprentice forms a superhero team of other psychics whose powers are psychic powers, although they're basically whatever they want. Because like, what is it? One of them's like Zephyr can fly.
Yes.
But it's telekinesis is why she can fly. But then there's like Flamingo, who shoots fire. So you get the idea, right? It's like, oh, it's like psychic powers. Oh, it's pyrokinesis. Well, that's just fireball.
Right.
No, but it's psychic.
But it's psychic fire. Don't you get it?
Yes, it's psychic fire. You know, like it's one of those things. I know this is a concept in in comic book circles and stuff, but it always kind of amuses me. Anyway, yeah, that was the whole thing, and they were supposed to have a couple of films, and they were supposed to cross over with Bloodshot. But that's
not
happening
gonna
now.
happen.
No, like they lost the rights to Harbinger.
Oh man!
So even if Bloodshot was a success, and if nothing else, the fact that they can't really make any money right now,
right?
Which is no fault of their own. Like I said, it's a watchable movie. You know, I'm not exactly enthusiastic about a sequel if one were made, which I don't think one will be, thanks to the financial hit this took.
Yes.
Yeah. It's kind of a shame, really.
Yeah, because it was one of those things I walked away from feeling like, hey, it wasn't a bad movie, wasn't a great movie, it was just a movie. Yeah.
It's kind of a shame. Frustrated, too, because it's like, oh, man, I really want some of my other favorite comic characters from the 90s to get their own movies.
Yeah.
Like, the only ones have been the Marvel ones. I kind of got it with the Green Lantern film, but Guy Gardner wasn't in it.
Right, exactly.
Where's my Guy Gardner movie? I want my 7-foot-tall ginger man to shoot a tornado of Green Lantern energy at people. And outsmart a world computer into accidentally blowing itself up. Because he's just that annoying and wily. And I want Exo Man of War to show up, because that's just fun. Whatever. Yeah, like, I think both the things we talked about today, we kind of recommend them, but we're not enthusiastic about them to some degree.
Yeah.
Castlevania is easily better than Bloodshot.
Yes. I think that's the thing, like, with Castlevania has more high highs than Bloodshot does, but the lows are really, really disappointing when it comes to Castlevania.
Oh, there's so... Yeah, because it's just because they had so many highs that the lows are just... In this case, it's like... We're comparing Bloodshot to Triple X: The Return of Xander Cage, which was bad.
Yeah.
And we're comparing it to the Fast and Furious movies, which have more of a budget, so they're more fun. And Vin's less invincible in that, but like I'd still call it better than Last Witch Hunter, too. There's something else that Vin has done to compare it to.
Yeah.
And he has this problem where he keeps playing invincible heroes.
Doesn't he see his downfall?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at the Fast and Furious movies now. It's like the last two have been like, my God, we have to fight Dom, and then, my God, we have to fight Dom's brother. This is stupid. Even in 7, he wasn't that much of a God mode character, even though he was. Even when he Koopa stomped the street to make the street win the fight.
Yes.
Whatever. All right, I think we've rambled on long enough.
Yes, we have.
We mostly talked about Castlevania this week, and then we
gave Bloodshot its due.
Yeah. Well, I hope you're staying healthy there, James.
Yeah, same here, man. I hope that everyone's good on your end as well, and no worries, and we just kind of keep our hands clean and not go insane.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see what the next episode's going to be.
I know!
Because...
like streaming services, yeah, we're in pretty good shape, but now with a lot of movies coming out a lot quicker on VOD, we might have a lot more unexpected turns when it comes to movie releases than we expected come, say, April and May.
Yeah, like, we'll discuss this more after we stop recording.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this now. The next episode is probably either going to be like that one where we talked about movie theories, or it's going to be one where we talk about stuff we haven't talked about in a while that we just want to plug.
Like I said, I know one show that we were talking about earlier that I have in mind. I know I want to do. But like I said, when it comes to movies, man, we got this is going to be a weird time.
Well, because we could have talked about, like, there's a few things we could probably talk about, but at the same time, we can't really go see them right now.
Right.
And I don't want to talk about a movie I haven't seen. I hate doing that.
Same here. And, like I said, games are just starting to pick up.
Yeah.
And then that's
like,
still kind of iffy.
We maybe talk about Doom Eternal.
Yeah. And I'm still worried about Final Fantasy VII right now, physical release.
Yep.
Because I know
me too.
Yeah, certain people are getting the notification that it might not come via Amazon, so it might be.
I haven't gotten that notification yet. So
hopefully that's not the case for you, man. I really do, because I know certain people. It might be like for a limited edition collection, or it might not be for the regular copy.
Oh, that's true. Because I didn't get the limited edition.
Right.
Because I'm like, do I really want to get a couple of free summons? No.
Yeah.
I'm not going to waste extra money on that.
That you're never going to probably use outside the one time just to see how they look.
Oh, exactly. Like, the DLC bonuses in some of these other games have been such a waste of time.
Yeah.
Remember the Resident Evil 2 pistols?
Oh, yeah.
The ones that got immediately outclassed?
Yeah.
That was a waste of time. Alright. I guess on that note, we'll wrap it up.
All right.
So, if you're listening to this and the outbreak is still a problem, which it probably will be for at least a month, I would imagine.
At least.
Yeah. Keep yourself safe. Be smart. Keep yourself healthy. And if you're listening to some in the future, don't we sound so paranoid? Nothing like this could possibly happen again. Right? I'm leaning into my camera.
Yeah, right. And doing the wink. And doing the wink. You gotta do the wink.